What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party.
What's up, party people in the place to be? This is the BKMC, the MCO, Talib Kweli. This is the world's best podcast, The People's Party. And as always, and as usual, I have my lovely and talented and beautiful co-host, Jasmin Leigh, in the place to be. What's up? How you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing, and this is one of my TV dads that we're about to have, so I'm super excited.
What are your TV dads?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sure he will be happy to hear that. Well, let's jump right into it because we have a lot of questions for your TV dad. This man right here is one of the greatest stand-up comedians I have ever seen in my entire life. This man is an actor, a writer, one of In Living Color's original cast members, and we're going to get into that because In Living Color is one of the best things that we've ever seen as far as comedy and culture. You know him as Bobby in the classic Strictly Business, Mitchell in Between Brothers, Dexter or Malcolm and Eddie, Rashawn and Booty Call. He was Womack and Bamboozled. We're talking about Oscar Proud, the voice of the Proud family. He has appeared on Martin, the Ren and Stimpy Show, Everybody Hates Chris, the Bernie Mac Show. This icon of stand-up comedy has given us many comedy specials, taking it to DC, Illinois, and Philly on the strength. He's one of my personal favorites, as I said, someone who I met way back when I was a teenager. We're going to get into that. The actor who is versatile and kinetic. He uses his voice as an instrument. He uses his body as a tool. His charisma knows no limits. His creativity has greatly impacted an entire generation of comedians. He is cream corn and Apollo legend with the extra D, Apollo legend. Give it up for Tommy Davidson.
Woo!
What's up, Tommy?
I'm starting to wonder who you were talking about. Thanks for having me, man.
Definitely you, brother. Thank you for coming.
A lot of the credits.
Hey, man.
Ren and Stimpy, you went back.
We went back.
Yeah.
You've been doing, hey, man, this is a long time coming. You've been a part of our DNA. You've been a part of our consciousness growing up because you are just involved in so many things. So thank you.
Happy to be of service. Happy to be of service. We got a connection here.
Yes.
There was, were you in the scene, in the movie scene? Were you in any of the movie scenes, or was that just a normal night at the building?
Oh, you're talking about Strictly Business?
Yeah, the building.
No, I wasn't in any of the scenes.
Okay.
But I used to run with these two dudes named Juju and Rubik's. They were dancers.
Okay.
And we used to go wherever the dancers went. And I used to work for a lady named Jessica Rosenblum. But this is before I worked for Jessica Rosenblum.
Okay, she was black.
She's a white lady.
Okay.
She was managing John Forte.
Okay.
And you know what? Rewind, because this story even predates that.
Okay.
So, wow, this is even before Jessica Rosenblum. The building is a club in New York City where they filmed the scene for Strictly Business.
Right.
And it was the first nightclub I'd ever been to in my life. I went there at 15 years old. Me and Juju and Rubik's went there. I showed up at they say doors open or whatever. I showed up at whatever time doors was. So if it was at 9, we outside at 9. I'm the first person in line at that club.
How old were you?
15 years
Did you
old.
have a fake ID?
Yeah.
I'm 50. You ain't need no ID to get in a club in New York City in the 90s?
It's New York, though.
Jerobi from Tribe Called Quest. And I got a picture with him from that night.
Right.
He saw us online, and I'm a Tribe Called Quest groupie at this point. So I'm dressed like them. So you know what I'm saying? And if you understand what people's instinctive travels
That's
is,
real,
how they looked, you understand how I was dressed.
Right.
And I have a picture of it because Jerobi got us in. And I met everybody that night. And I don't know if you could see this on the camera. I met Tommy Davidson. This is me and Rubik's and Tommy Davidson. I was 15 years old. Did y'all get that?
Which would make me, I think I was about 25.
Oh.
Yeah, you had on the Chuck D.
I had the Chuck D hat.
The Chuck D style. I met Jamalski, Nikki D. Tribe Called Quest, KRS-One performed that night.
Was Kid Capri on the wheels?
No, it was Kenny Parker.
Okay.
It was his brother Kenny Parker. Okay. But I asked you to do Sugar Ray.
Did I do it?
You did it, and I'm going to apologize for that, bro.
I know I did it.
You did do it.
Yeah, I know I did it.
You did do it.
Yeah.
And you did it. I said, oh my God.
You ain't got to apologize.
I'm sorry, brother, because it would be like somebody coming up to me in the club like, okay, rap. They have.
Did you do it?
No.
See, Jared just did that to me.
Which is why I'm apologizing.
But more significantly, the building was a part of a network of the clubs at that time, I guess anywhere from 89 through 91, going into 92. The building the Red Parrot. I mean the Octagon.
The Muse.
The Muse, Red Parrot, and this is where a lot of the early hip hop groups that emerged, Tribe Called Quest, Leaders of the New School, the whole group, and they weren't signed.
That's right.
They weren't signed yet. These are underground clubs that people went to. It was right across the street from Madison Square Garden over there.
Yeah.
And it was the hot spot. And it was authentic hip hop because the DJ would get up there and the rappers that showed up, they would just like freestyle. And he would find their stuff and he would just make it happen. One night, KRS and Capri, and that's Capri on the phone there. One night, Capri and KRS went for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
And Chris could do that.
Yeah, he can.
And Capri can do that. It was just one of those. It was one of those places. It's a place for history as far as hip hop goes.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, so you have an uncanny beatbox ability, and shout out to Biz Markie, who is also an actor.
Rest in peace.
In Living Color. Rest in peace. You can beatbox. Wait till you see my dick, which is actually one of my favorite songs. Yin Yang Twins, love y'all. Oh my
God.
Listen, so
did you forget that you could do that?
Wait, before we were doing. I was doing research, obviously, for the guest. And so I was watching the Shaq All-Stars bit with my daughter who loves comedy. Okay. And she was breastfeeding. I'm trying to wean her off. When you started doing the national anthem rapping thing, she took her face off of my boob and started like dancing like she really loved it. I was just so excited. Can you give us a small taste of it, please? Of your skills?
Yeah. Without a mic, it may be a little bit more muted.
There's a mic there.
It's a different thing, with the mic. That's like a classic beat, like Spoonie G back in the day. From the south to the north, from the east to the west, come on, Spoonie G, go on. That's from the early. And then there's the DC.
Go. The pots and pans.
You know what I'm saying? So it has a variety of things that it can do. You know what I mean? Like Eric B for president. So it takes on its own characteristics.
Word up. Now that's your connection with hip hop.
Yes.
Word up.
I was still cheesing. I forgot this clap.
I'm gonna turn this thing into a COVID.
Real COVID.
Turn this thing into a new strain mic, maybe.
The beatbox variant.
Right. The beatbox variant. Nice.
The beat cron.
All right.
You were heavily invested in hip hop and connected with hip hop, and Strictly Business. That movie was important to me because it's the first time I saw an authentic hip hop character on screen that I related to. How you dressed, how you talked. That's how I was living at that time. And you asked me about being in whether or not I was in the scene. I wasn't, but the scene when Halle Berry walks in, and that was like her debut for us into the culture because she had been in Jungle Fever before, but she was Vivian.
Right.
She was a crackhead before.
Right.
Now we see
you didn't see her.
You didn't see
her.
You saw Vivian. Yeah. Now when she's on the dance floor, first of all, you got Henry and Stretch. Those are my brothers. They went on to dance for Mariah Carey. Later, you got Peter Paul out there dancing. These is the dudes that I was in the clubs with.
Yeah.
So I'm watching a movie like, yo, you would be in the theater. I know them. You know what I'm saying? That was the first movie that I saw have that. And, shout out to Kim Coles, Isaiah Washington.
Oh, the whole
you know what I'm saying?
Samuel
Joe
Jackson.
Torre.
Samuel Jackson.
He was Sam Jackson back then.
Sam Jackson. Yeah.
Anne-Marie Johnson.
Anne-Marie Johnson.
Sam Rockwell. Dennis Leary. This is like an all-star cast. Even the supporting parts. But my favorite part of the movie is the first time I saw a blunt being smoked on screen.
Was that in the projects of Town?
Yep.
Right?
And it's you and Nice and Smooth.
Me and Nice and Smooth.
And Redhead Kingpin.
And Red. Yeah.
And my grandmother, Javoti, who my label's named after, was in a Redhead Kingpin video around that time.
Oh, really?
We don't have no plan B. She was an actress, so she was just playing a role in the video. Redhead Kingpin, I don't think he was acting that good in that movie. He was just laughing and cracking up.
He didn't have no lines, so he had to kind of make it work. He was like a Muppet. He just like
But Laughing with Sound is still a line.
Yeah. But yeah, man, strictly business, man. Tell us about working on that film.
For me, it was a conscious choice. Mm-hmm. I was really hot at the time, really, really hot, like coming off of just a hell of a run in Hollywood, getting signed with big agencies, and now it's time for me to do my new movie after the success of In Living Color, you know? And so I wanted to make sure that I picked the movie that I really, really wanted. And Strictly Business was the movie I really wanted because it was a science fiction movie. It was a movie about black people working together. So I figured they got Star Wars and they got stuff, they get to look to their future and all this stuff. Why don't I do something where we can look to our future? And so if it's just a kid from the projects and a brother that went to Harvard getting together with the black bank, then maybe I can create some reality in the future by having that just to be seen. You see? It was just one of those things that worked out. I got the part based on the fact that I could do any movie I wanted at the time. And that was the one I wanted to do first.
Right.
Because that was the storyline.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I grew up partially in New York City. So I have both of those cities in me. So I was around.
Y'all was really in Harlem for real.
Oh, we was uptown.
Not today's Harlem.
Nah, it was
the Harlem from the 90s.
Yeah, where pee in the hallway.
Pee in the hallway Harlem. Yeah. Definitely.
Pee in the hallway Harlem.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Champagne and Boubelet, Andre Harrell. Rest in peace to Andre. Jodeci is performing in the movie because of him. And Diddy was your runner at that time, right?
Diddy was. And it behooves my career to say that, It's like, hey, man, he was my assistant, but, outside of that, he was really smart then. He told me, and I was like, that was this kid going to tell me, man. How you going to tell me what to do?
Right.
He didn't really tell me. He said, I suggest that you cut your widow's peak. And I was like, why should I cut my widow's peak? Who's this kid telling me I should cut? He said, yeah, but when it gets on screen, it's going to look really big.
Okay.
It looks small now.
Okay.
And then when the movie came out, I was at the premiere. I was like...
He had you like Eddie Munster.
It looks like a shark fin. It's like, and I'm like, that kid is onto something. Right. But the thing that was mostly he had me in the city to get to know the part, and he knew where all the artists were. So he was going underground, and that's where I met C. Brown and all of them, Black Sheep, Leaders, all of them. I met all of them in the clubs. He would take me, okay, we're going to this club, we're going to that club, we're walking this person and that person. So he was already starting to put his thing together. And he had the best teachers. He had Andre Harrell. His best friend was Heavy. He was head of A&R of Uptown. He had Russell. Russell was hot at the time. And there was this New York consortium of really smart young black men that were starting to do business better in hip-hop. And they were expanding the horizons.
Now, didn't you get him out of lockup when he got arrested?
Make me talk about that. I thought I got out of that one. I got out of that one. Yeah, it was just circumstantial. Well, I was there. It was circumstantial. I mean, he dropped me off at the set. Big Italian dude was like, you got to park your car over there. He's like, I'm dropping the guy off, man. You got to park the car over there. He's like, I'm just dropping him off. I work for him.
Right.
And he lunged and purchased, just knick-knack paddywhack right here.
Knick-knack paddywhack.
Yeah, knick-knack nicked him. Nicked him here.
Bone.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh my God! Oh my God!
Did he have a speed
And then
knot?
it was, and so they locked him up or whatever, and he called me late night and said, they ain't letting me out. Come down here. So I came down. And I talked the guys into letting him out on his personal recognizances. They knew me from In Living Color. Right. It wasn't because a black dude came. That'll work really good. A black man going to get another black man out of jail.
Right.
Hey, yeah, I'm black because you let him out. Yeah. No, we can let you in though. We can
let you in.
Yeah. Oh no, but the whites are gonna run. They're gonna run the Capitol, but you can't.
Right.
Okay, so that was like the first. I knew. I'm gonna say this. I knew when Craig came out. This was an empire.
Yeah.
Because Craig came out, and then Flavor in Your Ear Remix came out. And that's when Puffy took all of his people, because he knows the right mix. He's a producer. When you saw Flavor in Your Ear Remix, that was a future bad boy right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You saw what he was, that's the blueprint.
You just mad to get more boots than ash trees. Fuck the fed, wanna get mine the fast way. Ski mask way, nigga ransom notes. Now I'm handsome, but damn a nigga bow, more guns and roses. They getting in their boots, invisible bully. You know what I mean? Shit.
Yeah.
Blow tissues.
Skeevy.
Delicious.
What is he even saying?
I'll break that down to another. Yeah.
That's
another show. That's another show. That's another show. Yeah.
Delicious.
Right.
And pink cookies in a plastic bag. We need to know all that.
Right. I'll break that down in another show. You know. But I saw the genius there, and I saw. You know, I ain't discover him. You know what I mean? But he was from, you know, smart kid from uptown. Harlem.
Do you remember the
promotion
for Bad Boy at the time? It was the Big Mac.
No.
Okay, so he would. Jared, do you remember this? It was like a McDonald's sandwich packaging.
Okay.
The old school Big Mac package and it said the Big Mac, the Bad Boy Big Mac. You opened it and it was a cassette, and one side was flavor in the air and the other side was juicy, and it was between a bun. And that's how he gave that out through the city.
That's enough. Yeah.
The Big Mac.
Yeah, because you know we loving it.
We loving it.
All he had to do is act, go to a black person with a Big Mac, a free Big Mac. You lying,
Right.
I had my first Big Mac in 3rd grade. One of the teachers gave it to me for making.
Were you raised vegan?
No.
Oh.
I have a lot. My parents have a lot of kids. We weren't just getting Big Macs.
No,
we were from the kids'
my cousin's
menu.
raised vegan. I remember when they first had a Big Mac, it was a big deal.
I just had kids meals, and this was my first adult meal to myself.
Okay.
But also, it's just as a fan of the both of you, it's crazy for you to sit here and say that P. Diddy was your runner when he's like he's a mogul.
Yeah, I mean, he it just goes to show you, you plant the seed. Mm-hmm. You plant the seed and that plant will grow. You know?
I worked for Diddy at that time. Mm-hmm. Not that time, but later on, maybe 2 years after I was at the building and Strictly Business was going on, that's when I started working for Jessica.
Okay.
Jessica was Puff's partner in the clubs.
Okay.
And they used to Tavern on the Green and the Tunnel. The Tunnel was their big night.
The Tunnel, whoa.
Yeah. And I would be in the Tunnel early, putting up posters, R&B Thursdays, or R&B Live, or some sort of party.
You was down there.
All that
in
shit.
It, yeah.
Soul Kitchen, all that shit back then.
Wow.
But Heavy D, his music is all through Strictly Business. His music is all through Living Color.
Living Color.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
How important, and Puff, when Tupac was on Living Color, Puff and when Heavy D was on Living Color, Puff and Tupac was dancing together as Heavy D's background dancers.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all linked.
It shows you how big Hev was, how important Hev was.
Yeah.
So tell us about your relationship with Heavy D.
Hev, I basically met Hev in the city. Hev one of them, MVs, Mount Vernon dudes, and they were coming with a whole strain, of stuff that was solid. I believe CL and Pete was already banging, weren't they?
Hev was first.
Yeah, Hev was first. Okay.
And then Pete was on the radio with Marley Marl.
Right. Okay.
But he's Hev's little cousin. But he was making all those beats at that time.
Yeah, and I forgot the musical director, not the director, but the producer, Eddie
F. Untouchables.
Like,
yeah,
that combination.
Yeah. When
they got their thing happening, and I Heavy kind of added a little personality to street hip hop, as opposed to the Fat Boys and some other people went more pop. Like he added some personality to the urban mainstay of hip hop. But then he crossed over and went to millions. Yeah. It went from In Living Color to Janet Jackson.
And then to Michael Jackson.
Which
is crazy.
And it's like a diddly-diddly-dee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we're standing on the shoulders of a lot of stuff that happened before today.
That's right.
And he was the A&R for Uptown, and Al.
I'll be sure, yep.
I mean, Jodeci. It was like Mary. A soul with hip hop, but then again, he was all hip hop. He was an MC.
That's right.
Heavy D's an MC, man.
That's right.
Yeah, he ain't no singer. He's an MC.
Right. That's right.
MC in all the sense of the word.
That's right. Now, something that we all have in common is we all have brand new children in our lives. I have a new baby. You have a new baby. Jazz has a new baby. How many kids do you have?
That's the one you took off the.
Yes. It's been
she started dancing.
15 months. I'm ready to be done.
I hear that.
If I gotta play your set every day to get her off, then that's what I'm gonna do.
That's the kickoff. That's just the kickoff. I got 6.
6, okay.
6 altogether. Half of them are grown. Then I got a 15-year-old, 11-year-old, and then a 7-month-old.
Okay.
And she's turning it out.
Okay, word up.
She's turning it out.
You and I are older dads now, and as older dads, I wanted to see if you had any advice you could give Jazz as a new mom. This is her first.
Just love them, Just love them throughout, I can only tell you what my aunt told me. She said that parent-child relationship is a love-hate relationship all the way down the road. All the way down the road.
Are you feeling like you're getting to spend more time with this new one than, I'm sorry, I call my mother's kids new kids too, but the 7-month-old than you were with the older group?
Yeah, but my life's different.
Yeah.
The older group, we was up in a little apartment. I'm trying to get in living color. I'm trying to get on stage at the comedy clubs. The oldest one, when she finally got to LA, I walked all the way down like a couple miles just to get a little refrigerator because I couldn't keep the milk cold. She was with us during all of that stuff. So, it was a lot of that. But now it's more of my 58-year-old heart now, and I've realized now how special they are. When you're out there and you're out there earning a living and you're out there trying to provide for your family, you have to compensate for the time spent with the kids. And it just comes with the territory. And it's one of the things that women get over us. You know what I mean? They get that time. So I finally get that time. I'm just saying in general. I'm not.
Yes.
You finally get that. You finally get that time. And I mean, with mothers that grew up where I am, ain't no father. You know what I mean? For us to, I don't know about you, but for us, for this generation of black men and the last couple of generations of black men to be the goodest fathers as they were, because we was all raised by our mothers. So it's more about the reality of it, the reality of that, like, I can actually be there. Like she said, Daddy yesterday. You know what I mean? Like straight up, looking right at me. I was like, I can't remember when the other ones did because I was on the move so much.
Right.
And it's become a lot more important, especially after the pandemic and stuff you go through. You look at them and you go, hey man, the way that I raise this child is the way this child's gonna be.
That part.
Now with you have a very unique story, and child rearing takes on a different sort of level of importance, I think, with you. Because you were born in Rolling Forks, Mississippi, near Greensville, right? Greenville, right?
Yeah,
as Anthony
Reed.
As you wrote in your memoir, which is very good. I sell it on my store as well.
Appreciate it, man.
Your mother put you in the trash at 18 months. She was 22. She suffered from addiction issues. She had 5 children already. Your adoptive mother found you and raised you as her own. Rest in peace to Barbara Jean Davidson. Now, what I'm interested, because you've spoken about this in interviews and in your book, but what I'm interested in hearing about on this show is the process of, because at some point in your life, you met your birth mother and developed a relationship with her. So what's that process of healing and forgiving like?
It kind of went full circle. It took a minute to forgive her because, all of my life, I didn't really know I was mad. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know what I was mad at. Like, why was I such an angry kid? If you're going to psychoanalyze me or whatever. I'm about just as angry as any other brother in the hood or whatever, for those reasons or whatever, or just self-defense or whatever. But it really was more about, why did you leave me in this situation? The situation is that, in a way, I was black and white at the same time. I was black, but my family's white. So what does that mean? And how are you gonna process that as a little 5-year-old, and then a 6-year-old, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? How are you processing that? And caught it bad on both sides. Was the nigga on this side, and then on this side it was, oh, you ain't really black because you cracker with cracker. That was a popular word back then. And well, after seeing the Capitol thing, I think, white is the new nigga. But that right there and what I went through, just, physical confrontations with people, just all of that. Mm. In my mind, I was going, why you leave me to deal with all this? Mm. Why you leave me to deal with all this? It wasn't prominent. It wasn't prominent because I had a beautiful childhood.
Right.
I grew up in the neighborhood with hundreds of kids, man, and we was outside. Mm-hmm. Kids don't go outside now. We was outside all the time. Right. Even February we was outside.
Couldn't wait to get outside.
Yeah, man, we outside playing with each other, man.
Right.
So it was a good upbringing. You know what I mean? But I had to deal with that individually. And that was the hardest part. The way that it came around full circle was she finally told me. When I finally met her, she finally told me her circumstance. See, and as I get older, I start to value things that people had said to me earlier about forgiveness and stuff like that. When I don't know about all that now,
right.
And I never could understand how a guy who murdered somebody's daughter is on death row, and then the parents would come and forgive him. And I was like, man, what are you talking about?
Right.
But it's a possession, and you can use it to your benefit, because when you use it, you can let go of a lot of stuff.
Right.
But I had to hear the real truth, and so she told me. And she wasn't happy about it. She was not happy about it at all. And on that, I was able to forgive her and just move on. She's not my mom. She's my birth mom. My mother with the flu, throwing water on me to get me out the bed,
right.
Get hit by a car, all the stuff that happened to me, she was there. All the stuff, that's mom. But interestingly, I did a show in Mississippi a couple of summers ago, and she came.
Oh, wow.
Your birth mother?
Yeah, my birth mother came, and my wife was freaking out. I don't want to come over here. She back in the picture and all this. And like she's got to come. Like, don't even worry about that, right?
Yeah.
And then when she actually saw her, she broke down in tears because she never really felt that experience until then. She didn't really realize what I really was.
Yeah.
Man. We had a nice conversation, and then before she goes, we're going to go now, and she turned to us and she says, this is, I forgot the girl's name, a little 15-year-old girl. She's like, I adopted her.
Wow. Full circle. Everything that's supposed to happen happens.
Whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
It's that bittersweet thing in life where you end up where you are, but you wish that you would have took a different road. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But trial by ass whipping is the best way.
I heard that.
You know what I mean?
Life.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for asking about that, man.
Did your mother tell you how she found you, or she didn't say that? You didn't find that out until you actually met your birth mother?
I didn't find that out. I found that out a little bit before I met my birth mother.
Your brother Michael, rest in peace, he had a major impact on you, and he ended up being an LGBT and AIDS activist.
Can I say the old word, like gay?
Gay?
Yeah. Okay.
The old word.
The old one.
The old
instead
word.
of just
gay.
Yeah. Your brother was gay.
A lot of letters.
You gotta include everybody these days.
Okay. Okay. But I'm just.
But he was gay.
Yeah, that's
You're
what
right.
I knew.
Yes, he was gay, and that is a letter.
I'm sorry, man.
That is a letter on
Yeah.
I've recently moved back over a couple letters, but anyway.
You gotta go a couple letters back, right?
I moved down and
right.
I moved back. I'm just going through the alphabet.
No,
I'm with
you.
How did your brother's influence shape you?
It was tough, because I didn't know. What do I know? Mm-hmm. What do I know? My brother was the best big brother you can ever have, man. He was. I couldn't even match with that guy, man. He was just really smart and could build model planes. You go in his room, it was like a science fair, But with the neighborhood that I grew up in, everybody had a lot of brothers, and that helped, because that would kind of like shed some of the ass whippings you get, And I didn't have that. I didn't have the brother that was out there in the streets with me, helping me. So if I had to deal with somebody, I had to deal with them. Or somebody was messing with my sister, I had to deal with them. And my whole thing was, you're a faggot. You won't help me fight. Confused on all of it. You know what I mean? And I used to say that to him. I used to say, man, you a faggot, man. You ain't helping me out here. you know, this, that, and the other thing, because I equated that. That was the principle that I knew, you know. I didn't find out that my brother was gay until he was probably like 24. Because he had all these girlfriends or whatever. And I never knew. You know, he looked like Brad Pitt back in the day, you know. All the black chicks like that dude. You know, and it was one of my best friends that told me, and I hooked him up with this black girl I met. And I was like, Michael, come on, man, take her out, man, take her out. And he was like, nah. And then when he left, Linda stepped to me, who was my next door neighbor. She said, why you do that? I said, what you talking about? She said, why you do that? Why you make him do that? I'm like, the girl is fine, man. She's like, you know Michael gay. And that was the first time that I heard that, but I really did know. Because everything just made sense.
It opened up.
Everything just made sense. The most beautiful thing about me and my brother's relationship is that never really mattered. I lived in the kind of house where you would get in trouble.
Regardless.
No, you would get in trouble if you used any kind of racial slur.
Oh, okay.
Or you put down any kind of group. So if my mother had heard me say that to him, I'd have got punished. I knew that. You know, we couldn't say chink. We couldn't say faggot. We couldn't say nigga. We couldn't say kike. We couldn't say none of that. We was in trouble. We came from a right-on house. You know what I mean? And it wasn't one of those things that I wasn't exposed to just in general. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I grew up in New York City. I remember being a little kid and saying he looked like a man, but he kind of like a girl. And my mother said he's kind of both. She didn't make no big deal out of it or nothing.
Because it's not a big deal.
It's just what it is. You know what I mean? But, you know, where I grew up, the values that we have out on that street is if you can't fight, you're that. Or if you can't hold your own, you're that. It's a different connotation on it.
Yeah, and
it could be confusing.
Yeah, it's like that quite on purpose. You're right, because that's where people get caught up in the woke era. Because we remember from our childhood where it's like, well, no, we weren't talking about gay people. We were talking about something different. But that's something different to put that on gay people. Right. It's like the same as we put it on women too. Like you fight like a girl. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like we all grew up like that. And you know, if I have a son, I don't, you know, I'm still socialized to not want my son to be feminine. Right. But couldn't we all use a little bit femininity in our lives?
You know what?
Hey, man, yeah.
Because it's a debate right now going on in the social media because somebody was mad.
It's always a debate going on social media.
Well, they were saying that little boys shouldn't get kitchen sets. And that kind of goes with the whole thing. Like, why is it you're a girl or whatever have you if you have a kitchen set? Well, number one, there's so many famous men chefs that make way more than women chefs out here. And then it's just...
That's a good point. The women chefs don't even make anything close to what the male chefs
Not only that, working in a kitchen as a woman chef with men is horrible. Probably one of my worst experiences at work or whatever. So it's really crazy to me. And that's why I love those, the more you know, when they talk about don't say gay for being dumb. Like, oh, that situation's gay because you don't like it. Because then it's like making you feel like, oh, okay, well, it's bad to be gay or it's uncool to be gay. And it's not.
Right. It just is what it is, you know?
Right.
I made an observation about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years ago.
I have to do that too.
I made the 8 years that preceded the last 4 is when all this confusion is coming in, you know? And so the things that were happening in that previous 8 years were I thought were good things. Everybody was talking about people having equal health care. People were talking about, you know, making sure that addicts got help and making sure that, you know, we were caring about other countries and what they were about. We were opening borders. We were doing a lot of stuff in that 8 years. And then over the last 4 years, and this is as neutral as I can go with it because I'm just using numbers. I'm just using numbers. Yeah. Over the last 4 years, it just seems like everything went wham into the phone. And then it's like, I'm going to get my truth out of here instead of out of here. You see? And what's out here is everything that's real. Out here is, if I'm on the bus, there's going to be a gay person, there's going to be a black person, there's going to be Asian, there's going to be, if I'm on the boulevard up here is going to be a vet in his wheelchair somewhere. It's going to be some people living under the bridge. It's going to be all that stuff. In here, there's just names and numbers and comments. And so we're into that thing and getting into all the stuff that's in there. And then the outside is getting left out. You know what I mean? And that's just a simple observation, you know, because we'll beat to death an issue, you know? But imagine that we took seriously everything that was on the toilet stall. And we stayed in there for a couple hours just looking at the stuff that people wrote and then came out there treating it like it's the truth.
Right. No,
you know what I mean?
That's a good analogy right there. Shout out to your sister Beryl. I have to shout her out. This is not the Red Table
What's up,
Talk. Nobody's coming out.
What's up, girl? You sure, man? She ain't coming out here no more.
Here she is.
I know she ain't coming out here. She ain't coming out here no more. She let me know that. She like,
that was one
I ain't
and done.
coming out here no more.
Right.
You know? Let me know.
You're definitely your mother's son in the way that you see the world in terms of progressiveness and inclusion. And you
I
speak,
became her. Yeah.
Yes. You speak in your book about your white mother gave you the autobiography of Malcolm X. She taught you soul music, like Soul Man, and you talk about singing Say It Loud and Black and Proud. And she introduced you to Black culture, which makes her a pro-Black white woman. So I wanted to give you a chance to speak about growing up with a pro-Black white woman, because we were talking about social media. I get into arguments all the time. And, you know, because I'm constantly combating racism. And sometimes there are white people who get on and are like, yo, why are you dissing white people and hating white people so much? And it's like, if you associate racism with white people, you're telling on yourself. You know, a better word for it, I think, than pro-Black is actually anti-racist. I think that's better. Pro-Black is more old school. But talk about having an anti-racist white mother.
I kind of grew up in a pro-Black white world. Like, I really noticed that there were a lot more people that were like her. When I grew up in Colorado and I grew up in Wyoming and even in D.C. and places that I was, you know, it seemed to me then that it was a small group of whites that would come after me, you know. But in general, you know, I really didn't notice that much of a difference between the way I was treated as a child by adults, you know.
Right.
There was always somebody leaning down and say, "What kind of truck is that?" You know, "What is that? Is this a lion here?" You know, and it never was just one color. You know, they were always able to relate to me as a child that's growing. You know what I mean? My mom and other whites like her are the currently changing face.
Right.
Of what America is about, you know, and it's not the first time.
Right.
You know, it's not, you know, throughout our history, it's not the first time. Even a child knows if you go eye for eye, then everybody ain't gonna be able to see nothing.
That's right.
You see, even a child knows that. But then also a child knows that if you put 100 people in the room for 3 months and you put enough food for 20, what's gonna happen?
That's right.
You see? And that's not a race thing. That's just elementary.
Survival of the fittest.
You see what I'm saying?
Tribes develop over all types of reasons.
So, you know, I got taught what she knew I needed to know. And that was an individual, it was an individual experience though. Because, you know, every group of Black people doesn't get a copy of, you know, Malcolm X.
Just because you were
We're
a
not
Black
the same,
person doesn't mean you were anti-racist.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're pro-Black.
Right.
And pro-Blackness is not anti-whiteness. I got to state that before the comments go crazy.
You know, the comments gonna come. I'm already over that. I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a pinata now. It's like, poof, okay, comments, go ahead. Hey, that ain't no sticker box. You know what I mean? I just take the candy now. I'm just take it like a man. Pow. Okay, here come the comments. I don't like that one.
Do you?
Okay.
The comments pinata.
This one is good. You know what I mean?
Right. We're going to label this clip the comments pinata. That's a good.
Yeah, you know, so, but it was just, it's just the hipper generation. You know, no one ever talks about the white on white violence that happened.
That's
in the
right.
60s.
Tell it. Right. Same rates too.
Majority of violence is white on white violence because they're the majority of people.
Yeah, in America at least.
But with that in mind, with intolerance, see, intolerance isn't just, a black thing. Whites had intolerance against other whites because their hair was longer, because they were hanging out with blacks
short
and Asians.
People got
yeah, it was like, and they weren't.
We were just singing short people before you came in here.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Which is that's what that song is about.
Am I what? Right. Yeah, but just it's just like, but they weren't like holding no picket signs towards them, and they weren't protesting. They were busting them in their head and shooting them at Kent State.
That's right.
When that white boy was with those black people down in Mississippi, they shot him in their neck and face and put him in a hole. You know what I'm saying? And then there were thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of poor Irish, Polish, Germans that went straight to the grave in the Civil War. And so, when we start to see these things in a bigger balance, then we start to understand what's really going on. And what's really going on is, what's today?
Tuesday?
Yeah. And we try the best we can.
Yes.
But she really hit me to a lot of things that didn't really kick in until later. Because I was like, why you got me reading this? Why you got me reading this? And there was a reason.
That's
there was
beautiful.
a reason why.
Have you ever seen This Is Us?
I have. No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I never watched it.
Okay.
That was a quick pivot right there.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to watch that. I'm too sensitive.
Well, I get my cries out from This and Us, but I was just asking because Sterling,
I met him.
Sterling Brown's character, I was just wondering if you resonate with that or certain experiences. Although with his character, he kind of didn't get the black experience that he wanted to, whereas you did, but it just shows pretty much him growing up in a white family with white siblings and, what he had to deal with.
Sterling always has the upset voice. I'm very upset.
Right. I met him.
He's a good brother.
He's so nice.
He works with J Period, who's a mixtape DJ.
Okay.
They kind of came up together.
Okay.
I met him at the Hollywood Bowl with Chappelle. But yeah, so
deep dude.
He's real deep
guy,
dude. Yeah.
He has a deep dude voice.
Yeah,
deep eyes, deep voice.
My sister mad at me that I didn't watch the show. She's like, it's so good though. Tommy is so good.
It wins all the awards.
Really
we were going to interview
there's
somebody on the show. There's a kid on the show that we were going to interview and that we never got to interview.
The son from
there's a kid on the show.
Was it a black boy?
Okay.
A black kid.
I know you're talking about.
Right, but he was on the schedule, and so I watched like 5 episodes of the first season.
Okay.
I'm like, fuck, this show is heavy.
It is.
How I'm gonna
You can't binge
I'm
it.
not gonna finish this whole show before this interview.
See? Now you see what I mean?
No, you definitely cannot binge it, and I would not recommend binging it. You definitely need to watch it and then watch some comedy.
Yeah,
I don't need to relive it. I don't relive it.
My show's called This Is Me.
Yeah, this is me. You know what I mean? You just turn the camera on me. He do a selfie,
That's why I didn't want to ask that, because I feel like people have asked that, but I was just wondering.
Right.
Nah, it's cool. And we had the best of all things. We had the best of all things because we grew up in a neighborhood where all things were.
Right.
There were Africans and East Indians, Irish,
right.
everything, where we grew up. The interesting thing is me and my sister are really twins. She's only like a month older than me.
This Is Us.
Yeah. That's why I ain't got to watch it.
The babies were born. They were
You should
twins.
get royalties.
Maybe somebody talk to me. Yeah, maybe somebody talk to my sister.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
you
your
uncovered
sister was a
something.
Somebody talk to my
something.
sister.
Yeah, I think you uncovered something, Jasmine.
Yeah.
What?
He should be getting royalties.
I think so. That's crazy.
Hey, this is my royalty.
This is me. I want to talk, we talked about the beatboxing, but I want to talk about your singing ability. And I heard you say that, even with your mom, when she passed away, she wanted to hear you sing. She loved to hear you sing. Your ability to turn popular songs into something funny is amazing. And this is like...
Segue.
You like that? You like my segue skills?
Segue, that was nice.
You like that one, right?
Nice.
Okay, cool. You've been studying interviews.
That was a slice.
You like that?
He did a cut.
Give me my flowers now while I can smell them.
Right.
You singing with comedy means you didn't start out in the comedy club. You started out opening for like R&B stars and Kenny G for some reason. And Kashif, I read his book. Jared, you ever read this book, the Kashif book? Everything you need to know about the music business or
He left it on the table, right?
Yes, he gave us everything.
He left it on the table.
But Al Jarreau is such a huge influence on you. Your mother loved Al Jarreau. Your Al Jarreau impersonation, I think, was like, no one had even thought of doing anything like that. But there's a tradition of comedians who can sing. There's Jamie, there's Eddie. What is it?
Jamie, no, I'm just playing.
Stop it.
Yeah, no, I'm just playing.
That's funny.
That's funny. Listen to me. When I saw that guy, he came in Living Color. Mm-hmm. He was already funny. I seen him sing before. Mm-hmm. And we went into a room, and man, he got on that piano and started singing, and I was singing, you know, but then he got on the piano and started singing, started playing. I was like, damn.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna go in here for a little while. You know, you go ahead and finish that.
Yeah, it's
like he's nice with it.
The idea of bringing in a real singing skill into a comedy routine is amazing to me, because the ability to sing becomes the punchline almost. It's a beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah, it's an old skill. You know, that comes from back in the vaudeville days, you know.
We had to be a showman.
You know, I'm not like Mr. Genius Entertainer. Right. It's like, you know, as I already started doing it, then I look back on it, I was like, man, that's been done.
Right.
You know, like Sammy Davis Jr. would do impressions of singers. Like he'd do all of them different, you know, he'd do like Nat King Cole, and they all be singing the same song, you know, chances are I couldn't. I'm doing Sammy as Sammy. Couldn't say to he. Right. And then he do Mel Torme doing it. Right. Chances are that I could. And then he would do him and doing chances are. He'd do it way up there. You know, so it was already something that was incorporated in it. But the way I got to it was a necessity. It was like a survival thing for me, because I didn't know what comedy was. My buddy told me to do comedy. He was like...
Howard.
Yeah, Howard, yeah. He the one told me. He said, I got a job at a Ramada Inn. I called him. He was like, man, you the stupidest person I ever met, man. You should be in Hollywood somewhere.
They got a good buffet at the Ramada, though.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I was a part of that in Bethesda. And so when I when he brought me to the strip club, the worst strip club in D.C., and said, go on stage.
Oh, no.
You know, the manager is like looking at me, and I look at Howard, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And he looked at me, he said, I don't care what you do. Just say something. So I went up there. The first thing I said, they laughed. But I already had the impressions. I didn't even know they were impressions until somebody said it in an interview years later. They're like, give me one of the impressions that you do. I thought it was imitating people, you know. So I already had all of those, you know, the Lou Rawls. You'll never find ding, 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 a head as big as mine. Or Lionel Richie, sail on down the line, cause it's funny at the time I Google my wife just broke my news cause she called me cheating. You know, it was already there. It was already there, Stevie, you know. I wish those days would come. I ain't got his glasses, so you know.
We still, it's giving Stevie.
Right. Yeah,
it's giving
I ain't got his glasses. Ribbon in the sky, but, you know. Ribbon in the sky! You know. What am I watching, The Dune?
Oh, shit.
You know?
Okay, guys.
It's The Dune. You know?
What needs to happen is a versus, and it's between you and Jamie Foxx, and y'all are doing other people's songs. Impersonations.
Yeah, I'll do it.
That's it. And I want to be a producer or executive producer on that.
I'll do it.
Now watch this segue.
I'll do it.
So this is I'm about to do a God tier segue here. Okay. Jasmine.
Yes?
Speaking of verses, Damon Wayans challenged Dave Chappelle.
No, I saw that.
Is that real?
He did. He challenged Dave Chappelle to a comedy versus, which we've talked about before, and it's like, is that just sketches or is it just stand-up? Like, what would a comedy versus be? But I'm not even done with the segue. That's just the beginning of the segue. That's a segue to the segue. Now, Damon also said that Dave Chappelle freed the slaves when he put out his special, The Closer. That's how he described it, in terms of allowing comedians to have freedom, right? Now, you're a DC guy.
You seem a little complex now. Go ahead. I'm getting into an area.
You like that, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
you like that?
Yeah, I'm like, you're splitting the atom now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. This way,
and
the
then
magic
look at me,
happens.
you know?
Yeah.
Like,
so you're a DC guy.
So.
Tell me about meeting Martin Lawrence and Sinbad and Dave Chappelle at Garvin's back in the day.
I'd recognize David from my neighborhood. He was kind of scared of us. Like when he see us, he kind of be scared. So I remember him back then, you know. Martin I had never met. Sinbad was in town. It's the first comedy club I played in my early career. I played at that strip club for probably 3 months, and then I started doing concerts for a year. I never stepped foot in a comedy club, but Sinbad came to town, and Sinbad was on Star Search. Star Search is the equivalent of the Masked Singer and The Voice, and now the computer ones, the Avatar singers. You ever seen those? The Avatar singers?
Yeah.
No.
It's freaky as fuck.
Yeah, and they're like,
yes.
It's like a skunk. And
I want to leave Earth when I see
it. What's the game that the kids play where they're dancing and that?
Yeah,
Oh,
Dance Revolution.
No,
Dance,
the one they all play together.
Fortnite.
And they got the dance.
Why are we
it's like this movie. It's like this movie,
right
Ready
there?
Player One.
Ready Player One. It's like taking those characters
Yeah.
and then they sing and they win or lose. Okay, all right. So back to you asked in my mind. I mean, my mind is a terrible thing to be in. So yeah.
Well, and you have every generation of child, so you kind of know everything.
I'm in the whole.
Yeah.
I got the whole thing coming at you.
From Sesame Street all the way to Coco Melon.
Yeah, all the way to
It's
Coco
11
Melon.
days.
Coco Melon. You know. And Roosevelt Franklin. You remember Roosevelt
Franklin? That was the black kid from Sesame Street.
First black
Listen,
kid.
I just watched the Sesame Street documentary. The original Gordon. Right. Not Holly Robinson's father.
Right. Oh, okay.
The original Gordon.
Okay.
He quit because he invented Roosevelt Franklin to relate to black kids.
Right.
And then black people was like, get that stereotypical bullshit. We don't want to hear all that. Someone's sounding black.
Yeah.
And he quit Sesame Street, which is why Holly Robinson's father
Got the
became
job.
Gordon.
Got the job. Yeah. But that was the first little
Pharoah
black-
Monch had a song. Roosevelt Franklin.
Did he?
Yeah, or first Organized Confusion album. They had a song called Roosevelt Franklin.
Can I say something real quick?
Of course, this is about you.
I slept on you.
The research
You said
king.
that to me earlier.
Dude, I slept on you.
The research king.
I'm fucking with this dude. No, like he got by me. Like I've been on his catalog the last, since I was like gonna do the show. I'm like, nah. Like he been here the whole time.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate you.
He been here the whole time around everyone.
Right.
Like laced in it. Like quality, like think J. Cole and then put the rest in it. You see what I'm saying? Like the mentality. Like,
Yes, thank you. That means a lot coming from you. You are a sensei.
I'm like, oh, really? And that's always refreshing to come across the genius that came out of the 90s.
Yes, indeed.
You know what I mean?
And the fact that we were in the same places, we were in that same studio,
the same proximity,
getting the same influences.
But look what we had. You had you as a young teenager. You had Brand Nubian, Chris.
We were there to see Chris that night.
Cuba. Yeah, like lyrics. Like nothing's better than the next thing. Because his art is perception. But
Since we are talking about DC, I got to shout out Donnell Rollins because I'll never hear the fucking end of it if I don't say his name.
Rollins.
Where's the camera?
Shout out Donnell, we love you.
He gave a salute. Too.
Yes. Now you
So let me get back to that night.
Yes.
I'll for
That's what we were talking about.
Purposes.
Okay.
I'll
yes.
So Star Search, I got precision.
Oh, Star Search. That's what you're talking about. Star Search.
I can sum it up without going into all the fat. Star Search was like the equivalent of The Voice.
Yes.
Back then. And so Sinbad was coming to town and he won Star Search. So all the new comics were, going to this club.
Sinbad on Star Search. This is crazy.
Yeah. The big old genie pants. I never never understood that, but then I connected with the Sinbad thing. Okay. Yeah. So I was there. Martin Lawrence was there. Dave Chappelle was there from what I can remember. A couple of other comics were there, but they didn't, really rise to that prominence, but quality comics none the least. I'd never met Martin. And I remember Dave from the neighborhood, and we all went on that night, and Martin had on the Eddie Murphy kit. He had the
kit.
The Eddie Murphy kit.
Leather sleeves.
He had the Adidas red, the black and red with the red stripes, and he had the golden child hat on the whole nine. So yeah,
the golden child.
Yeah, had the golden child
leather, no brim.
Yeah, pleather pleather kufi.
Pleather kufi.
Not kufi. Do people still wear kufis?
A pleather kufi is called
kufi.
a ploofy.
Yeah, poofy, and it was freshly shined by Armor All. No, I'm joning. He gonna get me for that. So that was the first night I went to a comedy club. Mm-hmm. That's all I remember about that night, because I didn't really play any more clubs.
Right.
I played a couple of clubs in DC, but I thought clubs were kind of like,
Right.
Because I was used to doing concerts.
Now, speaking of concerts, you did Taking It to DC, which I wanted to bring up Taking It to DC later because that came up later in your career. But first of all, like, I saw it when it was out, but I watched it recently, and it was like a bomb exploded in that room. They were not just, as a comedian in jazz, you can speak to this. If you hear raucous laughter, like the place is roaring, you're like, I'm killing. But if you're getting a applause after every punchline, it's a different level. After every punchline, the audience is enjoying every punchline so much that they're like, I'm applauding your punchlines. Well done, sir. Well done. That's what I saw in that special. It was just like bam, bam, bam. And then, just your specials are all like that. One of the lines you have in the special, I'm not sure if it's Taking It to DC or the Philly one, but you talk about Michael Jackson grabbing his penis and all the different races doing that. And then you get to the white penis, it's like the white penis isn't there. Right?
That's cruel. Is that cruel? Are you white?
I'm glad you said that.
Let's ask her, is that cruel?
Because you say in the special.
Like, you really want me to answer that? Because that would be cruel. What would be cruel is the answer to that. Hell, anytime I really need to go to sleep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not clutching your boat.
But
anytime I can't find a giant sneaker bar.
You're killing me over
anytime I need a good workout.
I'm dying right now. I'm dead.
Yo, but you get on a white guy in the audience, right? And you go, don't get mad at, you get it, like, it's not true. You break down in that moment that comedians are not bound by this academic rigor. Comedians are not bound by reality. Comedians are not, you can stereotype, you can generalize, and that's a part of telling a joke, and I think that's what Dave Chappelle was trying to get to in The Closer. And so I wanted to get your take.
Was that his last show?
Yes, the last one with all the trans jokes.
Right.
I think that's, in my opinion, that's what he's trying to get to.
Right.
Because I just wanted to get your take on that as a comedian.
A comedian is a comedian. He took on a sensitive issue. He took on a sensitive issue.
Yeah, that he did.
And that, is always going to be a dilemma. You have people who feel a certain way. And you have, people with inalienable rights that need to be honored, and even me,
Right. Like white dudes with small penises.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's, that's not even true. Ask her. That's not even true.
Not even true.
Oh, my God.
Ask her. It's not even true.
It's not even
true at all. Okay?
I've never seen.
She will tell you. It's not true. Okay.
Can we specify he's not saying me? Because they don't see her. And they're going to be
why
like.
Why are you saying nothing to her? I'm like, she'll tell you. She will tell you. You know what I mean? No. Get him out of the studio right now, that son of a bitch. What is he trying to say? You know what I mean? I'm saying the DeBarge got here because of that, okay?
The DeBarge?
Yeah.
They got here.
Yeah, the DeBarges got here because of that. All right. So yeah. That was the road.
How else you think you get good hair?
Yeah, that was the road to the DeBarges. Don't you know that?
Talib, we're gonna have to cut that out because you're already on a fine line with the.
I'm already
the
gone.
black
I can say good hair.
Yeah,
I'm black.
I'm gone.
I know. I'm talking
gone.
about the black women.
Yeah.
Like, what's good hair?
I can say good hair. I'm bald.
Yes. Okay.
He can say
there
that. He can say that.
Right. I'm a marginalized bald person. I can say good hair.
Can say that.
Check your privilege, Jasmine.
You see, we're
I'm
getting
checking.
into
My apologies for trying to save Talib.
Guys, we're getting into an area here. Okay. No, it was a lot of courage for Dave to go ahead and confront that. You know what I mean? Or to use that as subject matter, because that's really all it was, is subject matter, to take it and do a satire on it, do an act on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of it was true. It was autobiographical. In a neutral sense, me looking from the outside in, just looking at the whole business of entertainment and how that relates to people's rights and stuff like that. We have kind of a mob mentality. And you get a group of people that have a certain idea And then they, if you hurt them or criticize them or put them down, they'll move towards you. Not only that, it's not even specific. It's not even specific. It just seems to be like where we are.
Yeah.
I can only compare it to like Frankenstein. The dude didn't do anything.
Right.
It was the doctor.
It was a doctor. Right.
The doctor's name is Frankenstein. We don't even know the monster's name. It might be Frank. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? But other than that, we don't know.
Well, we met him.
It was the doctor who had this idea that he's gonna bring something from the dead back. You know what I mean? And then little Igor ain't had nothing to do with it. He just was trying to move a little brain. He dropped it, cut it, ain't tell the doctor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Doctor shouldn't have been messing with it in the first place.
That's right.
So then this thing comes alive. It's alive, but it looks different than everybody.
Right.
It looks different. Like I look different than people who don't look like me.
Right.
Like it looked different than the people that were there. They never had a chance to see what the monster was like. They just called it a monster because it looked different.
Right.
If you really checked him out, he was like the most beautiful dude.
Right.
He saw the child. He gave the child a flower. He was very sensitive. He was very childlike. He felt feelings.
Right.
He had a loving aura about him. Everybody was welcome in his space. You know what I'm saying? And so they said, well, he looks different, so we're going to kill his ass. And everybody came up to the castle. Get the monster. You know what I mean? Get the damn monster. And get the doctor, too. But it's the monster we really after.
That's what we got the pitchforks out for.
You see what I'm saying? So because that it evoked that little fear.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And that's what made it a brilliant novel, too.
Right.
Yeah, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They teach you not to be afraid of the boogeyman because he ain't really there. You see what I mean?
That's exactly
He ain't
right,
really
man.
there.
Yeah.
What's really there is people going into schools, shooting our kids. What's really going on is we have people in foreign wars. What's really going on is the welfare system. What's really going on is what's really going on out here. And ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But the only ones that can make the real change is all of us.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
If we get into little mobs, and how are we going to unify? My mother always used to say, the people united will never be defeated.
People united will never be defeated. That's a chant that we use on frontline activism. The people united will never be defeated. It's from the civil rights era. Yeah, shout out to you,
and it's pertinent. It's pertinent universally.
Yeah.
I want to share an off-camera joke, but should I do it after the show? Or should I just do
Only
it
if
now?
I can.
Do you want to hear it? It's not my joke. It's a friend's joke.
All right.
But he got on stage and he said that trans people are responsible for the most murders. And then he goes, oh, look at Bruce. Caitlyn had to kill him in order for her to exist.
Aye. Cut the cameras off.
Yeah. I said
Mute the room, Steve.
I mute the room. But
I got a joke. Can I say a joke on camera?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. This is a black motherfucker in an insane asylum, right? All right, naked. Just getting scary. Dick that wide, that long, boning. Okay? Crazy motherfucker. He's walking back and forth, mad as hell, boning. Bam! He jumps out the window. He's running through the woods with his mad, crazy ass dick, big wagon. It's hitting trees and shit. Bam, hitting him in his face. He's still just running. He sees a convent at the top of the hill. He runs towards the convent, dick just swinging, slapping him in the face, hitting trees. Naked as a motherfucker. He sees the church, man. He sees the monastery, whatever. Bam! Breaks through the window, lands on the table with Mother Teresa and her nuns. And Mother Teresa and her nuns are like, oh my God. And he's sitting there with his crazy motherfucking ass, dick this big, boning, looking at them. They looking at him. Mother Teresa's number one nun said, you know what, Mother Teresa? It took us too long to build this goddamn convent. I'll be right back. She came back. She said, I got a knife. And the knife was this high, this long, sharper than a motherfucker. She looked at Mother Teresa and said, where you want me to start cutting first? Mother Teresa said, right here and right here.
I didn't know where the fuck that was going. I love where it landed.
Hold on. The genius of Paul Mooney.
That's right.
That's Paul Mooney's joint.
That's right.
I got to give props.
Why so serious?
Yeah.
I wish you would have said it in his voice.
Yeah. I can't do it.
My friend London
he will
can
have
do
you
that.
on the floor with that one. I just did it in my interpretation.
Yeah.
You know?
I gotta go back and listen to him do that.
Let's talk
All
about
right,
so-
cameras. Hey, cameramen.
Off. All right, we're back.
in Illin and Philly, which I thought was interesting title because there's this whole scene in Strictly Business where y'all are talk about the word Illin.
Yeah.
You know, and
it was a hot word.
That's a great, you know,
it's like
you be
lit now.
Illin. And that was my introduction to hip hop. You be Illin. Run DMC was my joint. The X-rated Juicy Fruit commercials, hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
In that,
Thank you.
You do a lot of crowd work in that. But also there's a poignant piece about anti-apartheid. Sammy Davis, as Mandela bit was cut from In Living Color.
Yeah.
But you got to do Sammy Davis.
Nice.
In this, right?
Nice
like
shot.
the segue.
Nice shot. Go ahead.
Right?
That's cool.
You have spoken about striving to be socially conscious in your art, in your comedy. And I saw that with the anti-apartheid piece. Homie the Clown, which is something a skit Damon did, classic skit, you in it, you killed it. You the first one to be like, homie, don't play that. Right?
My mother ain't like that, by the way.
Your mother didn't like that skit.
She's like, why you always get hit by the sock?
That's the mom for you.
She was like, why they picking you? She was serious too.
Tell us about Paul Mooney's involvement in Homie the Clown.
Paul Mooney came up with Homie. You know, if you really think about homie. That was his thing. And Paul Mooney's show, you know, if you ever go to see his show, you know, if you had a black day, you be feeling good when you walked out of there.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And so that was really Paul Mooney as a clown. You know what I mean? And now how you feel now. Totally dissed, homie.
See, it makes sense
homie
now.
don't play that.
Yeah.
So it's this, you know, straight ahead, you know, I don't really like the word for militant, for black consciousness.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any military.
That's, yeah.
How are you going to call me militant? You know, I mean, name me one black person Africa-wide and worldwide that owns like an Apache helicopter. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, when we talk about our rights, the word militant comes up.
That's
you see
right.
what I'm saying? Which already elicits fear.
That's how scary we are to them.
Yeah. It elicits fear. And it's whatever it is, you know? But I'll say progressive for him. Anybody progressive. You know, Anne Frank was progressive.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Homie was like the personification of a justified anger in the black experience.
Yeah.
In this country. You know what I mean? But the cool thing is although we feel anger, we are a group in America that has demonstrated full forgiveness.
Right.
Like full.
Yes.
Like we be fighting now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But your grandmother would tell you, I don't care who he is, and I don't care how they look, and I don't care what color they are, you gonna go say you sorry.
That's right. And
Or you gonna go give them a piece of it. You gonna take that over to that person. Here, go give 50 cents over to that dude over there. You know, I don't know, he looks scary. He ain't scared of you. And don't care what color that person is, if they on the street, on the bench or whatever, have you take them a quarter. And then you come back, she said, that's good.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed.
I, for one, can't even count how many times I've gotten in trouble for hitting one of my siblings with a sock and saying, homie, don't play that.
Was it a potato in it?
No, I didn't.
No,
I just put more socks in the sock. I was not, I wasn't trying to kill him or anything.
Right.
But you moved to LA with your then manager, Sinclair Jones. And you two pretty much dominated the scene working at Comedy Act Theater, Ice House. You were MC at LA Cabaret, Birdland, Laugh Factory. Can you bring me through that era of comedy?
Yeah. It was epicenter of a new renaissance. Eddie Murphy, Keenan, Harvey Wayans, Robert Townsend, Jimmy Walker, Byron Allen. I'm trying to think of all the black comics the younger black comics before I got there. Those were the cats from let's say 85 back. We got there in like 86, 87, 86. And I got there at the same time that Martin got there, at the same time that David Allen Greer got there. Chris Rock emerged at that time. And it was that time. It was the same thing was happening in hip hop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like a movement. It was like a renaissance. Things were really just, that was a renaissance. That was going into the 90s. This is the pre-90s. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So film picked up. You know, Ed and Dre. You know,
who's the man?
I mean, who's the man?
Right.
It was just a part of the black entertainment trajectory at the time. You know, so we all hit the sidewalk at the same time, and we weren't there just to be comedians. We were there to be movie stars. Mm-hmm. We were there to be television stars. Right. We were there to learn how the business worked, and so there was also a legion of really smart black managers and black business people and black writers that emerged on the scene at the same time. So we had it all coming at the same time.
Yeah.
You know? And so that renaissance just caused a frenzy of talent and just lit up, it lit everything up.
Right.
You know? And In Living Color was one of the catalysts, the shows that just really pushed the TV into another dimension.
Right.
Right, because at that point, you had to choose, right? You had TV or film, or you had to do the TV first. There was no going from film to TV back then.
Right.
But before even any of that, like, tell us about the night that you had to do the Comedy Store in between Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and having to impress Mitzi Shore, who's very important at that time. Like, that was sort of the trajectory, right? You had to do the smaller clubs, get to the Comedy Store, and then it was off to the races, right?
Piece of cake. No. It's just that I was ready and I earned the spot. I earned the spot because it came after a lot of things didn't go my way. By the time I ended up in that main room, like, it was on. You know what I mean? I went from having a little apartment, you know, of my own. I had a little Datsun B210 and a Celica. I got that from my mother's credit union. I had wall-to-wall carpet, a little cat,
Shout out
too.
to the credit unions.
Yeah. I had a wall-to-wall carpet, a little cat, too.
Right.
You know, I was cool.
Right.
You know, I was what, 18, 19, you know, 18. Right. So getting out here was the bus, you know, and I took the bus all my life, okay? The last thing I wanted to see was a bus.
Yeah,
okay?
I gave up on buses too early. Before I made it in rap, I had already given up on the bus.
Yeah.
I had told myself, no, you're not going backwards.
Yeah.
No more buses.
Right.
Yeah, that's the day you see me lose my mind. Yeah. When you see, I just saw Tommy on the bus. you be like, okay, he lost his mind officially. Because we did laundry on the bus. I took the bus to school and everything, right? So I get out here and I get a job at a deli, and then I'm doing
Which
comedy.
deli is it still?
Yeah, it's Solly's Deli is in Encino, California.
Oh, that's far.
It's in Woodland Hills, and there's another one in Northridge. I was at the clubs every single night for 3 years, 7 days a week, trying to get a regular club to have me at the club. Now, they kept telling me, you're not what we're looking for. But I was turning it out. Now, I go to Black Club across the way to the Comedy Act Theater, and it was on like popcorn because that's where the Lakers were winning then, the Raiders were winning Super Bowls. That was a sexy spot, you know? So we were there, and that was Robin Harris, that was Robert Townsend, that was Eddie Murphy, that was D.L. Hewley, that was Joe Torre, that was Martin Lawrence, that was Chris Rock. It was like the all-star jam. But man, when you went back to the other clubs, you just were a normal comic. You see? So I picked my name out of a hat for like a full 2 years. Then I finally got on stage, and I would be upstairs in the smaller rooms. And I would wait. I would wait on the list. I was usually almost last. And I would wait in the back and pray people didn't leave. You know, so if it was 3 people left or 4 people left, I'd be like, yes, I got it. You know, but I got to be a badass comic by that too. But I got the call to go in the main room. Now, the main room was the place where everybody's career was built.
Right.
So Adam Sandler, he ain't had no movies yet. Jim Carrey, you know, Tom Hanks, Michael Keaton, Roseanne Barr, Rosie O'Donnell, Andrew Dice Clay. It's just like that was the room. Mm-hmm. And people were going from there to TV series, to movies. That was the joint. Mm-hmm. That's where you wanted to be. So they called me and they were like, hey, you got the main room. I was like, okay, cool. That's really cool. I'm excited. I'm like, what do they want me to say? Give me their intros. Because I did a lot of MCing, you know. Mm-hmm. Give me their intros. They're like, nah, you on the show. I was like, okay. So, you know, how much time am I doing in front of them? They were like, nah, you on the show. You're on the show. Here's the schedule. Eddie does a half an hour. You do a half an hour. Pryor does a half an hour. And then you switch it to the second show. That's Friday night. And then Saturday, it was the same schedule. Mm. And I was like, bring it.
Yes.
I was bring it.
Yes.
I was like, that was minute rice, dude. I was eating minute rice and sizzling. I don't know if you remember that.
Sizzling.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jerody. She used to give us sizzling.
Yeah. It was like, it wasn't bacon and it wasn't ham. It was just something.
It was sizzling.
Yeah, it was just, I think it was cut like bacon or something. Mm-hmm. And catching them buses and ready to go home. Like I wasn't feeling this. Mm-hmm. You know, I almost went home. My mother sent me a $20 bill in the mail. Mm. She told me in the little letter, she said, first of all, I know you need it. Second of all, don't leave. Right, that was the letter, you know? So that night, you know, for me was probably like the first game of the playoffs, of the official playoffs for Michael Jordan. 8 years lost, broke his ankle, you know, was going bald-headed, you know? You know, I mean, I'm just trying to put together. I'm trying to be accurate. That, you know, I mean, that's not subjective. that's not going at any individual. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, and Ben in the All-Star game had his own shoe. Mm-hmm. You know, put 60 on Boston and still ain't go. Mm. You know, but you can best believe when that first playoff game started, it was like that for me.
Yeah.
It was like that for me. So I just took my time like I learned how to do. Sinclair Jones was a very disciplined manager and a very genius man. Mm. And he made sure that I worked really, really hard and I exceeded my limitations. I was already talented, but he told me that's not enough.
Oh, no.
He said, that's not enough. You got to be the best at this. And so in me watching all those comics, it worked out for me because while I watched them, I watched the technique of comedy. Mm-hmm. I watched Charlie Fleischer work. I watched Roseanne Barr work.
Tiffany Haddish was on here.
You know?
And Tiffany Haddish did the craziest Roger Rabbit impersonation and said that it was Roger Rabbit that made her want to be a comedian.
Mm-hmm. Did you know she's really Roger Rabbit, though?
I know now.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
It's for me sitting here, it's great to hear. I want the Comedy Store to be my home club. And it's literally, I think like the hardest thing about having a baby is that I used to be at the Comedy Store every single night. Like that's how I got this show, honestly. And I think that's the hardest thing is that I cannot be out every single night anymore because now it's like you got to get a babysitter and you have to do all of that. So it's like a little bit discouraging, but like hearing your story, it's just like, okay. Because I don't like minute rice, but I'm definitely,
it's not that
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm at the point in my career where now it's like, okay.
Ramen is the minute rice.
It's like, okay.
Ramen is steak.
And so now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, so now I can start to get an audition to showcase, to try and do friends and family to get on that like first level. And it just hasn't changed. It's still the same exact formula from when you were doing it.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that. But you know, every change gives you the opportunity to seize learning. You know, you got all that time. You can find everybody special. You can practice your writing. You can. I mean, now you got YouTube. We ain't had that.
Right. Facts.
Like you can just go. You can find yourself. You know, you can look and see what everybody else is doing and what you don't want to do or what you would like to do or this, that, and the other thing, you know? it's like, we make the best of what we got.
Right, right.
It's a good thing.
Right, unless they lock up the phones.
Luckily I don't get my phone locked up anymore. But anywho, but no, and even with when you talk about watching all the comics, I remember one time I was like not in the room. It was like an open mic or something. And I think it was my homie Ron Taylor or something like that. And he's like, even if they're bombing, you need to watch them. Because if they're bombing, then you need to figure out why they're bombing.
And you need a good
why
laugh.
you don't want, right.
And you need a really good laugh.
Yeah. Yes.
It's always fun to watch that.
That's funny that the comedians say, see somebody bombing, that's a really good laugh. As opposed to them doing well. Let me see you bomb. That's a really good laugh.
It's funny why they're bombing. What's not
unbelievably
funny,
enjoyable.
What's not funny.
And none of us are clean. Right. None of us, there's no guarantee.
Right.
You will be there.
But what I'm saying is what's not funny is when they get off stage after they bombed and they think that they had a good set. That's when it's awkward.
Well, that the rest is up to them. It's an individual sport. Hey. It ain't tennis, boy.
It's like skateboarding.
It ain't tennis, yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for your time, Tommy.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful conversation. We talked around it, but let's talk a little bit about In Living Color. It was huge, hip hop sketch comedy. It got so big that y'all went against the Super Bowl and
crushed it.
Crushed it. The Super Bowl had to get Michael Jackson the next year to compete with you imitating Michael Jackson. That's how big
That's right.
it was.
That's right.
I just wanted to give you a chance to really shout out and talk about the people, the men and the women, because I feel like the women are underrated and don't get enough props on Living Color. From the Winans, the Winans.
The Wayans.
Ain't no need worrying what tonight gonna bring. He will be all over in the morning.
Right. The Wayans, David Allen Greer, of course, Jamie, Crystal, everybody, man. Your relationship with Jim Carrey, just give us like that rundown.
We were lucky. The cast of In Living Color was lucky because it was just a perfect eclipse. Keenan was like Professor Xavier, man. He knows comedy. He knows comedy structure. He's a writer. He's brilliant. He saw these people that knew how to do all these different things, and he said, I'm going to put you together on a show. And we all knew each other from the comedy circuit. I didn't know Crystal and Kelly because they were from Chicago. They were from...
Second City?
Yeah. But when we all converged on that show, we all saw each other. When me and Jim saw each other, we was like, we're going to freak this. Oh, my God, this is done. And so what we were the perfect combination, just what America needed at the time. So time-wise, it worked out too.
Yeah.
Cyclically, it was perfect. And then where our society was at the time, socio-political society was perfect too.
No doubt.
And so it was just like the perfect eclipse for a show like that. We were like the 77 freaking Steelers. It's like a team that came together that you couldn't put it together even if you tried.
All-Star Squad.
All-Star Squad.
One of my favorite things I saw you do that was Spike Lee impersonation. Shout out to Spike Lee. That was dead on. Shout out to Rosie Perez. My favorite thing you've ever done is Cream Corn. That's my favorite. And you've done a lot of things.
All right.
You've done a lot of things.
Cream Corn.
I'm running things.
I'm running things. I'm running things. I'm running things.
I can't tell you how often I do that because of that. I do. I'm running things all the time. So thank you for being in that movie. And
thank you.
Bitch, do you see us?
Yeah. Bitch, do you see us? You gotta take that bologna. Smush fry.
That's a classic
right,
scene.
Thank you, man.
Can I just get one question? Are you on that page before we leave?
Sure.
Okay, because I was called Penny Proud in college because I look like Kyla Pratt.
You actually do.
Oh, wow. I just now...
Yeah.
Now I see it.
And she's like a year older than me. Our birthday's in September. Anyway, Proud Family. I said you're one of my TV dads. I freaking loved the Proud Family. And I'm so excited for the reboot so I can watch it with my daughter. Can you talk to us about that phenomenon?
Yeah, and it's easy to. It's on Disney Plus.
Yes.
And so now we got a brand new series coming out, and Penny is now in college, and we got everybody. You know, Lil Nas. What's his name? Lil Nas X.
What?
Is his name Lil Nas X?
That is his name,
Yeah.
which I'm very upset about because you shouldn't be stealing Nas' name.
Is it?
That's
Lil
another
Nas
subject.
That is Nas, huh? But it's Lil Nas though.
Yeah,
what's
Nas
his
is
real-
not
Yeah, that's
upset.
not his
Yeah, but he
real
Lil
name at
Nas
all.
and an X. Though.
An X.
You see? So that's
Yeah.
He's
different than
trolling
Nas.
us.
It is
He's trolling
different.
people like me who
You know
love
what I'm
Nas.
saying?
That's
Yeah.
He's like a A1 troller. I absolutely
He's trolling
love
me and
him.
Boosie. That's
Yeah,
what's going on.
Exactly.
Don't put yourself
Yeah.
in the same sentence as Boosie. But
Thank you.
So it's coming, and of course Oscar Proud will be back.
Yes, yes.
P.A., where you at? What is this, a bro?
the Gruesome Sisters.
You gotta be lying. She wearing a bro now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
That was kind of loud, wasn't it?
Oscar's loud.
you have said in
Hold
your,
on, this G-string.
Oh my God.
the new Proud family. You are the Bruce Lee of comedy.
Hold on, this don't smell like candy. No, go ahead. No, I'm just playing. I'm just fucking.
This is why we
This
ran
don't
out of
smell like candy at
time.
all.
Right.
This ain't no Twizzler. You know?
I'm glad you said Twizzlers because we don't fuck with red vines over here.
That part.
Yes, we go. Tommy Davidson, the Bruce Lee of comedy. You said instinct, moving at the speed of a reflex, unnatural naturalist, natural unnaturalist.
Right.
We're going to leave on that quote because
Yep.
that is very powerful to me. And I love the way that you look at comedy and art through this martial arts lens. Thank you for doing this show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Yes. Tommy Davidson.